In this video, I want to give you some updates on the coronavirus and how it affects your property business, and give you some ideas on how you can make the best of a bad situation. Hi, my name is Tony Law from Your First Four Houses, and my channel is all about helping you replace a job-based income with just a handful of investment properties, which I recognise is the last thing that's on pretty much everybody's mind right at the moment. With the whole coronavirus thing that's going on out there, I think we all recognise that things are probably going to be getting worse before they get any better. On the positive side, the government does seem to be being really decisive, taking some really decisive action, which I think can only be a good thing. Now, I recognise there's lots of really good content that's already out there, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I wanted to give you some really practical ideas, some practical help that will hopefully support and help you on the following subjects. Your personal finances, first of all. I want to talk briefly about your tenants. I want to give you some practical ideas, some stuff that you can do right now. And I also want to share briefly my views on the future and give you some idea on how I see things moving forwards. But I'm not going to actually talk about any health related subjects because there's loads of stuff out there already, and simply follow the government's guidelines, and there'll be descriptions to that in the box below. So let's start off with your own personal finances first of all. Now, the truth is there is loads and loads of support out there right now, an unprecedented amount of support, which is a fantastic thing. You need to go out there and do your own research on it, but again, I'll put some links in the description box below. If you're worrying about being able to pay the mortgage, maybe because tenants are saying they're not going to be able to pay you, the first thing I would suggest is that you contact lenders. Keep them informed. You may already be aware, I'm sure you are already aware, that there is the potential for a 3-month mortgage holiday, which basically means they take the next 3-month mortgage payments that you were going to be making, they kind of bolt them onto the back end of the mortgage, on which of course you'll be paying interest naturally. But that may well be a real help to you. I have heard through one source that this may negatively affect your credit rating, but don't take my word on that. Do your own research on it. I just wanted to make you aware of it. Now is the time to look at streamlining your finances. I did a whole video on this, so you want to check this out. But now is a great time to look at the money that's going out of your account. And I know there'll be things that you can do to actually streamline and reduce the amount of money that's actually leaving your account. Now is a great time to consider other income streams. I'm very lucky that I have a number of different businesses that actually put money in my pocket each month besides property. Now is a great time to look at some of those, I would suggest. If you haven't already got a cash buffer, if you can, now is a great time to build up as much of a cash buffer as you can, because I honestly think that's important in this particular market, and I know that will be important to you. Although I can't give you any kind of financial advice, I'm not allowed to, I would ask you a question. Is now a good time to consider remortgaging your existing portfolio or properties? Interest rates are a joke in terms of how low they are. So could this be a really good opportunity to you to get a much better deal, maybe pull some cash out to give you a bit of a cash buffer? Again, I can't give you advice on this, you need to seek your own advice. What I will share with you is that a remortgage is exactly what I've just been going through. Let's talk about your tenants. First thing I want to say to you is that I think right now, if you haven't already done it, you should reach out to your existing tenants. Communication is key. These are, of course, your customers. Now, if you have a letting agent that manages your property or properties, they may already be communicating and reaching out to the tenants. But they might not be. You see, letting agents are in this really horrible place right at the moment. They are overwhelmed. Can you imagine being a letting agent right now with what's actually going on in the market? You've got to feel sorry for these people. You really have, actually. And they may not be reaching out to tenants as much as they might normally be. So maybe you need to ask them, are they connecting with tenants? Are they reaching out to them? If not, maybe this is something that you could do. If you find out that your tenants are in some kind of difficulty, you need to be, of course, empathetic. Absolutely you do, but you need to direct them to the government guidelines. There's so much help and support for tenants that's out there, including help and support for self-employed tenants moving forwards. Maybe rather than a no rent period, could you look at doing a reduced rent if that was entirely appropriate? Could you maybe offer a rent holiday which is in no way the same as saying rent free. You're not letting them off the rent, you're giving them a rent holiday, so maybe they pay you back the rent that they were going to pay you this month and next month, for example, over a period of time moving forwards. Recognise though that some tenants will try to take advantage of this situation. I really don't like saying that, I really don't, but unfortunately I've already had it personally. So I think really you need to you need to make sure that the proof is needed. If somebody is in a difficult financial position, I think you need proof. Obviously viewings are virtually impossible now, but have you considered doing virtual viewings? Now I've done this. One of my properties, I've got a walkthrough from the front door to every individual room. Is this something that you could maybe organise? Let's talk about some practical ideas, some practical steps that you could take. This is an unusual time where many of us are working from home now, and many of us do actually have more time. Could we use this time incredibly productively? Absolutely we could. So what kind of things could we do? Well, first things first, I think we should be following up with any leads, any sellers that we've been talking to. Maybe follow up and progress any existing deals that are kind of already coming through the pipeline. Now is a fantastic time to put business systems in place. And that's all I've been doing over the last 2 weeks, is putting new business systems in place. So maybe accounting software, maybe some automated checklists. Could we organise some follow-up sequences? Could we look at what jobs that we could maybe outsource to a freelancer and maybe do some videos of exactly how to carry out that task, so that the freelancer knows exactly what they should be doing. Now could be a great time to look at doing some online courses and maybe work on some of your weaker areas. I always talk about lynda.com. I love it. I always talk about LinkedIn and Udemy. These are really good sources for online courses. Maybe you do courses that are property related. Maybe consider one of mine, but if not, that's absolutely fine. Maybe do courses that are more business related. Maybe a course on negotiation, a course on finance, a course on tax. Maybe you do a course on how to talk to video like this. How brilliant would that be? I would love it if you did that. Now could be a fantastic time to build out your website. Maybe you do it personally, or maybe you just spend a few days collating the information that's required for your website so that you can then give it to a website designer. Now could be a great time to send out those landlord letters. Do you know what? There are lots of landlords out there that are really worrying right now. Could you maybe connect with some of these landlords via landlord letters and maybe come up with a great win-win solution, something that works firstly for them, but also makes this a fantastic deal for you. Service accommodation and holiday lettings are probably the ones that I would be the most worried about if I had those types of properties, which I don't. Maybe you reached out to some of these people and via landlord letters and come up with a great win-win solution for them, and then maybe repurpose that building, turn it into something else. Now is a fantastic time to build relationships. We can all jump on the phone or maybe jump onto Skype or FaceTime with people and build really good relationships with estate and letting agents. Maybe build brilliant relationships with sources. There are some fantastic sources out there. There are some bad ones as well, but there's some great ones. Build some really good relationships with good sources, or fellow landlords, or mentors. Maybe you kind of form a little group, a kind of group of 6 of you maybe, and you get on, you do a kind of Skype call with different landlords, for example, and kind of help and support each other moving forwards. So let's briefly talk about the future as I see it. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball, but I wanted to give you some thoughts on this, just, maybe as a discussion point, really. The first thing I would like to say is I honestly think there's going to be some really big changes moving forwards. Lots and lots of businesses, and I'm not just talking about property here, I'm talking in general, lots and lots of businesses are having to rethink the way that they're working. They're being forced to rethink the way that they work. Many businesses are obviously used to interacting with people one-to-one, maybe in a kind of shop environment, for example, or maybe coming into an office environment. Many of these are being forced to rethink this, and they're now working on from home, and they're putting systems in place to enable that to happen. I think that's going to mean some big changes to the way that we work moving forwards. I think now is a great time to learn to adapt moving forwards, and in particular you should be spending time, effort, energy, and maybe a bit of money on yourself, learning to evolve and develop yourself in all manner of different areas. Recognize the power of multiple streams of income. I think a great thing you should be focusing on moving forwards into the future is building up multiple streams of income, not just from property, but maybe from other sources as well. I know I've already mentioned this, but now is a great time to, or rather the future is a great time to streamline and make sure that you're kind of continually moving forwards, reducing your outgoings as much as you possibly can. And I think you should be looking at ways to work from home moving forwards into the future. One of the biggest changes that I made to my life was the ability to be able to run my businesses remotely. So I can run it from a really nice laptop in anywhere in the world that I want, even if it's from my motorhome. And that has made a massive change to the way that Liana and I live, and I love it. So I would encourage you to maybe look at ways that you can maybe work from home or remotely moving forwards. And above all, I think now is a really, or rather the future moving forwards is such a fantastic time to help others. I think we should all be helping other people more. We need to recognize that this whole situation will pass. It really will. Ultimately, you need to think of the future. You need to recognize that helping others, I think, is going to only help you in the long term. And with this in mind, if I can be of any help to you in any regard, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here. I want to help in any way that I can. If you haven't already done so, now may be a fantastic time to check out my completely free property mini course. Simply click on the link here or in the description box below to enroll, and I'll send lesson number 1 straight out to you.